already here, since everyone's already joined. So I think we can start our tutorial this week. Uh, okay, so for this week, you guys can hear me, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So for this week, okay. So for this week, this is week 3. So this is our course plan. Okay, for lecture, we already covered chapter 2, which is last Monday. We already finished this one, the modeling concept. So today now we will go with tutorial 2 for chapter 2. So last week we stopped at this question. Mm, tutorial 2, 3, 4. Okay, last week we stopped at this question. We stopped at this question number 3. Yeah, we stopped at this question number 3. So they asked you to conduct activity diagram that use the Simlan. I think we already done. So for today, we will start with question number 4 for this tutorial. So anyone already done this part? Question number 4. Anyone wants to share the screen? So very honest answer from Vincent, no from him. Uh, who else already done question number 4? Uh, 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 uh. Hmm. Daniel, Tan Sun Yap. Daniel, you already done question number 4? Hello, Daniel. Are you there? No, no response from Daniel. Okay. Mm, Xiu Ting Chin. Have you done question number 4? I shared Alvin. Mm, Alvin, I already clicked on the link. Okay, it's loading. Uh, what I've done. Where's this? There's image able to see. Shooting chin. We go to Alvin first. Able to see. I managed to click on the link, but is it only me? But your there's an image, but I cannot see. Is it? What do I need to do? How can I see it? Mm, 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 mm. Alvin, but the other student, can you see his image? Zoom in, maybe. If I zoom in, then my screen will zoom in, but the image getting smaller. Mm, yeah. Or oh, this one. Uh, user task system. Okay. So we go to Alvin first. We use the second link because I can see it from the second link. So what's this now? The Zoom function. Mhm. Ah, guys, I did. I think I just delete. Is it a fact? Uh-oh. Guys, for the first link, I already deleted. Can we just go to the second link because I able to open the second link? So, Alvin, you want to explain your diagram for the question number 4? Alvin? Need to explain. Yeah, because I think some of you guys in the class maybe do not know. Mm, let's see. Mm, guys, for the first link, I think I deleted it. Does the image able to? Wait, guys, because in my screen, oh, guys, I need to share my screen. I'm not sure. Did I deleted it? Okay, this is the link I click, but I think I click on something just now. Is it the image in your guys is gone too, or is it just in my screen? Undo. I already undo. I already undo it. Cannot. I already undo. So that then this one. Hmm, this one. Did Miss Yang put the image? Put the image? No. Huh. So how to zoom? Ah, guys, where's the zoom function here? Top left, left, top left here. Mm, Are you guys able to see now? Set to 200. Are you guys able to see it now? This one. Okay. Xbox. Yes, sir. So we will use this. Okay, then I'll explain. Okay, so now I'll close this one. So now the answer from Alvin based on question number 4. So first we need to understand for this kind of question, you can see right? For this kind of question, you need to read the question first. So we need to identify which how many divider or how many swim lanes that we need to use or we need to use the customer. So the first one is customer. So the first swim lane should be customer. Oh, so the first okay. So the first okay, the customer can be a user. So this one is correct. And then apply some online service by filling an application from to okay. Then the second one is customer service counter or customer service. I think you miss out one entity here, which is customer service. Because why I said so? Because service by filling an application form to open a new account at customer service. Yeah, you need to include customer service in your Streamline. And then the application form and photocopy of the the manager. Then the third one will be the manager. You miss out another entity here, which is manager. Then for approval purpose, the application will be proceed. Then they want to have a so wait. Hmm, comment fill. How can I highlight in PDF? Is it? Is it? So first one is customer. So you need customer. This is the first one. Customer service counter. Then manager. So three. Log in to the system. So log into the system. So the process system. Customer service counter manager. Okay, this one is the another entity. Customer can use the online service at the end. System from here to here. Okay, so from 1, 2, 3, bank is the, I think here customer is user, this one is correct. And then bank should be the form to a new account, customer service counter. And the application form. I think bank here is manager. Yeah, I think the bank here should be the manager because you see, should okay if you use bank. Yeah, should be okay if you use bank, but because they are I include the manager at the counter service in bank. Mm, mm, I think I understand what you mean, but I think it's the best if you can be more. This is correct, but I think for your exam, I'm not sure if they ask you to do this. If I'm not sure if they ask you to, if they have this kind of question, but for exam, I think it's better if you guys can be specific. That's mean under this bank, I can see there's manager. Yeah, under I can see there's a manager. Yeah, there's a manager here. So if you want to use this entity or the actor here, maybe you can replace the bank with the manager. And then, so I think one, two, three, four. Yeah, I found out for entity or for divider here. So for the first one, let's see what's the flow. So the first one, Commerce Bank provide e-banking service. So you need to start. Here you have a in guys how to move. Okay. So here you have or you start with the notation here, the correct notation. This is correct. And then customer filling form. The customer necessary by filling an application. So the first one is the customer need to fill the form, an application form to open a new account. Okay, the first one is correct because the customer need to fill the application form. So this is an activity. So this is the correct notation, correct symbol. And then what's next? And then after the customer already fill the form, customer need to have a form to a new account, customer service. Okay, so based on this example here, I think he is, based on his answer, I think he missed out the customer service. So yeah, that's why I said just now, because Alvin said they combine the customer service counter and the manager into under the bank land here. So he missed out one process which after they already, as you can see here, after they already fill the form, they need to by filling an application form to open a new account at customer service counter, customer service counter. So after this, actually, how can I explain this now? Can I use my, let's see if, yeah, this is the answer. If I can share here. Or who else just now? Wait, before we use my answer, we go to, we go to, who's the one just now? Xu Ting Chin, can you share your answer too? So we can do comparison. It's okay if it's not correct. So you want to share your answer? Xu, Xu Ting Chin. Are you there? You want to share your answer? Okay. What? This one, customer info. You want to share your screen? Chin, you want to share your screen? Second page. One, two, three, customer manager system. So you have customer manager and system. Hmm. Start fork login with form. Hmm. Customer. Customer service. I think both of you, let me compare answer. Entity customer system. I think let me do the comparison here. I zoom in first. So I think both of you, so here let's compare the answer. For the first one is Elvin. I think both of you with Chin too. He used mm, three divider, but he used the joint fork here. Why? Yeah? Customer filling form. Customer filling form. But for this one, I want to ask why you start your here with login with pin code in after you, because from what I understand from your diagram here, after the user start, they directly login with pin code. Why is it? I think the correct flow actually, I think you want to merge, but I think the correct flow is actually from Alvin here. You need to fill in the form first. You need to fill in the form first, then only you go to the bank or the second entity. So yeah, then we go to, then after they filling the form, they will go to the bank or the bank here. And then after they fill the form, at customer service counter. So I think the best way for you to, so I think the best way for you to illustrate is by, like I said, you need to be specific or detailed. First, the customer start, the user. The user start the process. So as you can see here, they start. Then the first one they need to do is register, which is they need to fill the form. So here is register, and then after they register, they need to fill the form. So how they can fill the form is, it's not how, the application form and photocopy. Filling the application form at a new account. Counter service, correct. Then the application form. So customer identity card. Application form and customer identity card. So they separate here, but I think this is detail. As for this one, customer info will submit to manager. For this one, in the answer section and in the here, from your answer here, you didn't specify what's the 632. Should be okay if you didn't specify what they send, like the application form and the photostat, IC photostat with fingerprint. And then after they already submit the form, they need to submit to the manager. So they need to submit to the manager. This is what needed that need to submit to the manager, the form and the IC with the fingerprint, they need to submit the application to this entity, the manager. So this one is correct because he merged this customer info. Customer info, I think, should include the IC and the IC what application form will be sent to the manager here. So this is correct, but I think he missed out a few important point here. And then after they already submit to the manager, the user need to waiting for approval process. So at the manager, they need to do the approve or not approve. So here, as you can see here, approval can be approved or not approved. So if the manager is not approved, then they need to repeat the action or repeat the registration. He need to start again from the registration. And then if the manager, as you can see here, for approval purpose, if the application is approved, the customer need to deposit. That means the customer need to, after this process from the manager, we will move to the customer. So here, after the manager, we move to pay the deposit. I think same goes to his answer here, approve and not approve. So what will approve? Wait, this approve, who's approve? Approve, not approve, correct. You start back by filling the form. This is correct. You need to start again. But what if the process and review system? Oh, okay. This is more detailed than the answer. My answer, if the bank or the manager approve, they will, oh no. Why you have two? I think, Alvin, one is enough because you want to set that the system will process, right? Why the system process? The manager will process. So I think the process should be here. Is it? Yeah. It doesn't mention that the system need to process. The manager will process the application. So you don't need one. Process and review application form. This process will be done by the bank, by the manager here. So the approve and not approve will be done by here. So you can, if not approve, correct. Then if approve, customer will, you can join this line here. Customer. Hmm. The application will retrieve and process for within 20 minutes. Yeah, the application will be reviewed and processed, but it doesn't mention that because as you can see here, this process will be this application form and the photocopy IC will be sent to the manager for approval. Okay, this application will be revealed the process within 2 minutes. It doesn't mention that. Yeah, from the statement here, it doesn't mention that the system will process your application because it stat here that your application will be sent to the manager here. So yeah, this one, because I think this one, you doesn't need this part. You just directly to disapprove, not approve, correct, and then approve. You can directly go to here, customer deposit. This one is correct. And then after the customer deposit correct, banking. After that, approved statement will be given to the customer, including 6 digit. Okay, approved statement. This one, after the deposit, correct, digit from the bank. This one should be system. Let's see. Approval, not approved. Okay, approval, not approved. Pay, correct. Generate statement. System. Mm, 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 mm. Your system, correct? No. For okay, look. After they already done the payment, after the user done the payment, okay, here, start from here. After this one, approved statement will be given by the customer, including 6-pin code for online service access. So the system will send. So here, after you already receive or after your customer already pay, and then the system will generate a statement. So the another entity here that I mentioned just now is a system, because as you can see from the question or the statement, they mentioned that the system will generate a statement to send to the user. So here, they will send a 6-digit pin. That means the system will send to the user. From system here, they will send to here, to the user. And then your answer is customer deposit. You merge this function, the bank. I think you merge 3 entity here, which is the customer service, the manager, and the system. System. Yeah, system. So if you merge, by right should be correct because this is all under bank. So the process is correct. Customer deposit, digit pin, and approve statement given to customer. Yeah, the bank or the system will send you the customer login, which consists the pin number, 6-pin number. Okay, then after that, on the same day, so the customer or the user need to log into the system. So from user, we will go to the system. In this example, they will use bank. Oh no, use system. Wait, system. But why you put your digit pin here by the bank? I think this is wrong. This customer, this is wrong just now because you have system. So system will generate this pin. So your, can I edit? No. So this digit pin and approve, or this activity, this process here should be here. This will be done by the system. And then the system will go to the customer. So they will send to the customer. And then after the customer get, within the same days, they move to the here system again to validate the login. The system, oh, because I think the statement will be given by bank. Yeah, but the system will generate the statement. That's why I think, because that's why I said just now, it's better if you can be more specific on the entity. Okay, after they already validate, the customer needs to change password. So they need to change password. Here is the correct process within 24 hours. This one is correct. Was more than 20% for first time login. Okay, here is correct. Within 24 hours. Okay, so after they need to validate the login by change the password. So this is correct in the system that will be done by the user. So let's see from my answer here. Change pin code. Update. Oh yeah, update pin code is change the password. And then after we change the password, but I have a question, Alvin. Why do you request inform customer? How do you know that they will send? How do you know that they will inform customer? How do you know that after 24 hours? Is there any statement? Is there any statement that mention if it's not, or after more than 24 hours, how do you know that you need to go back to this process? yeah, the customer need to log in within 24 hours. But from the question here or from the process here, I don't see why. Is it your own assumption that they need to go back to that process? Because I don't see the statement. The assumption. Yeah, by right that's the normal flow, but from this question they doesn't state that. But should be okay. It's not wrong. That's your assumption. That's correct too. But yeah, it doesn't state here in the process. Then after that, customer can use online service. After they already log in, request customer to change on password. Customer need to input new password. This one is correct. So customer need to input. Same goes with this one. Goes to customer, change the PIN code. After the PIN code, what the customer can do? Can use the online service. Hmm. Can use online service. So password, validate password. This is, and then customer input new password. Okay. Then go back to here, system. System, validate password. Again, Alvin, I want to ask, change password, validate password. User system, correct? On the same day, customer after that, customer can use the. Alvin, why use on which statement not valid? Customer, why? On which statement? Yeah, because okay, from this statement, from the question, after they already they just need to, for first time login customer need to change the on password. This one I think you did for this for this part. So they need to input new password. That means they need to change the password. This one is correct. But for this process, I don't see the statement that mentioned that they need to validate the password. So I don't think there's no need for that process. Can use the online service. Can you do actually here is the, okay, let's see. Zoom out. Okay, so actually here after they already change the password, which the user need to key in the password, update the password, they can already here can use the online service. That's mean from here after they already change, they can directly use the service here. That's mean the user should have something like account existing, update PIN code, logout. After that, the user should be able to use the system already. We doesn't need this process validate password. Customer account usable. Online service. Yeah. After the password, actually, you can directly use the system. And then after they use the system, they can log out. This is correct. The customer log out from the system. Yeah. So, uh, so after this one, they can already the log out from the system. So your process should end here. Is it correct? No, the process ended the system. So your process end here. I think you just need to cut out this part. After they key in password, send the user need to log out, and then the process will end here. So yeah, for this kind of question, I think you need to read the question and identify the entity and be specific about each of the entity. Login with PIN code. Mm, Submit. Okay, so let's see this answer. Okay, for the first one, customer, we doesn't need, this is not the process because the first process is should be this one. I don't understand why you mention uh guys wait Chin, is there any reason why you put this process in the first one? Guys, wait guys, wait. Can we have 5 minute break? Sorry. So hello guys, can we continue? So okay, I'm okay, but just now I got nose bleeding. I'm not sure, maybe KK is too hot, so I'm not adapt to the weather yet. I'm not sure why. Maybe because of the weather. I think so. Yeah, Sabah is quite hot. So that's reason, but I'm okay. Then we have a answer here from, okay, we have answer here from Chin, if I'm not mistaken. Mm, yeah, from Chin, I have an answer here from Chin. And then I think Chin is he or she. I think she, right? Should be she. So hmm. So I think she know how to use the Simlan here, which he can identify the identify the entity, which is customer, manager, and system. That's good. But the process here, for each of the process, for this kind of question, you need to read line by line. If I were you guys, I will read statement by statement. So yeah, I will read statement by statement. So this is the process here. Fill in application, correct. And then submit application by the user is correct. And then the bank or here is the manager will review the application form. This one is correct, done by the bank or the manager. Oh, this is manager, this is correct. And then manager, if yes, they will deposit. If no, where are you going? If no, it doesn't state anything here, right? It doesn't state. Yeah, it doesn't state that. It doesn't state that they need to process. I think here, where is it? Approve. I think it doesn't state right. So diamond, diamond thing. You mean the? I know. Diamond thing is this one, right? This one. This if else for yours. Yeah, I didn't. mm for this one, you need to use the diamond. For any process that have two option, usually two option, you need to use the diamond. Diamond, yeah, the diamond shape thing for this process. For any, if you have option for your process, you need to use more the diamond things. Yeah, you need to use this process. I didn't find out just now, but yeah, you need to do something like this. Approve, then yes, deposit and correct deposit. The system will accept deposit, correct. If approve, yes, receive approach. This one is correct, but accept deposit if approve. Accept deposit, correct. Then where are you going? I think this is wrong because after accept, the user will receive the statement. But from your process here, is it you end the process? You should no, this is wrong because after the process, yeah, a statement and a password will be given. So a statement and the password will be given to user, and then user need to update the password. And then after the user already update the password, they will you need to, or they will let the user to log in. So this is wrong. Why you verify? Is it here to here or here to? I don't understand your diagram. Verify customer should be here. Where is it line? Is it? I think your diagram is quite confusing. I separate. Oh, you separate. That's mean after the user already received the approve statement, they will directly log out or end the process. Is it? Ah, I think this is wrong. Yeah, this is wrong because the from the question here, it's actually one process for the user. It's not a separate process. So I think your diagram is quite wrong, but it's good for you because you know already how to use the swimland. So this is good enough. So anything you want? So I think for the question three, no, question four. Question four, that's the end for tutorial three, tutorial two. So for tutorial three, use case diagram. Use case diagram. We haven't touched that part yet for use case diagram. So this one maybe we'll proceed with next week. So for tutorial two, do you have any question you want to ask?
Miss, for the diamond decision symbol, does
Mm-hmm.
it need the text inside, like the
You mean wording inside?
yeah, like the flowchart? Yeah, wording.
Actually, there's no specific. What's here? Actually, there's no specific method, but what as you can see here, this is the diamond, the if else process. Usually, usually you need to write something inside, but there doesn't really specific how you're going to write it. Usually, people will write something like this. The process they will write the process here in the outside here, but it's not wrong if you write at the inside part. Shouldn't be a problem with that one.
Oh, so can
Yeah,
be
usually
both lah. Can.
yeah, usually if
Oh.
I write my diagram, I will write inside. Yeah,
Miss,
shouldn't be a problem.
the one the what dotted line. What is that mean? Lah? The garis
Third line,
putus-putus.
garis putus-putus. What's garis?
In your answer.
Uh, my answer. Account new. I think what is that here? This is it's okay if you do not write this because after they okay you see here after they pay the deposit, after they pay deposit actually your system already create a new account for you. But this one doesn't really state in the process. So this one, if you don't have this one, it's okay. But actually, yeah, you don't. It's okay if you don't have if you don't write this part, because that's mean after you pay your deposit, actually you already create a new account. That's mean your account is already existing. It's not really in the process. That's why it's in the dot line.
Oh, okay.
Mm. So anything else you want to ask? Actually, for your tutorial, right, I will post the answer. I will send to you guys. I will upload. But since I'm quite busy these few weeks, mm, usually I will use Meta. Usually, please ensure JavaScript is enabled. Wait. New diagram, blank, red. Yes. So usually I will use this one, draw.io, because just type draw.io should be yeah. Draw IO should be okay because why I use this one, I just draw, for example, I draw a flowchart, right? So usually if I process, usually what I do, let's say this is my process, and then after I already done, if after I already done my drawing or my diagram, I just copy paste this in my document if I want to. But draw IO should be okay because one of the purpose is because we have this function for me. This is the one that I'm familiar with. So draw IO is free, always free to use. So draw IO should be okay. Lucy, I think I used this one too before, but I'm not sure. I tried this one, but draw IO should be okay. So anything else for your tutorial before we move on to your practical, to your progress?
No.
No. So for your practical, for your assignment, do you who want to start present the progress of your assignment?
Our group.
Okay. Okay. Mm, okay, you can present your screen. So Noel, you want to present?
Can you see right?
Mm, yes.
So the organization we choose is this one, Stop and Shop.
Stop and shop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So they are located in Shah Alam, Selangor, and this shop doesn't have their own online store system.
Okay.
And yeah, so to solve their problem, we propose a system for them, an online store system for them.
Okay,
And
so the main problem with the system is that doesn't have any online system, is it?
yeah, so the customer
Okay.
must be physically there lah, to buy.
Mm.
Um, so there are 5 modules. This is the module shopping cart module transaction product and customer. Is that correct?
Prepare functional requirement. This is your overall overview of your system. So for you to identify what's the problem of the current system with the shop, it's good enough for you. And then functional requirement is based on the module. So shopping cart mobile transaction module, shopping cart. So you will assign each module to one member, right? Or one member.
Yeah.
So okay, that's okay. And then add a record use case diagram. Okay. So prepare functional requirement list of the new system. Okay. The functional list add send record add new update add update check update and what's the last one on 3.5? The last point? Uh, the active. Okay, the active. Okay.
Can we
Because
can we use the word delete? instead of deactivate.
The-
Because yeah, because delete
Can it's a
item based.
process. Can you
Because
can use delete or the
I'm afraid if we use delete and then the record in other module also are like affected. Yeah, that's what I think of lah.
oh, okay.
That's why I use this one instead. So how?
Deactivate customer account. I think it's better for you to use deactive. But by right, if you deactive, actually should be okay if you use deactive, because if you use delete, the data will be permanently delete from your DB. So it will affect delete customer account, delete or deactive, delete customer, deactive. I think you can do both or separate or just choose one. Shouldn't be a problem. If you want to deactive, that's mean another time the user still can request to activate back the system. So should be okay if you want to set the active customer account, but the active is not delete. So if you want to deactive, can, or you want to delete also can. So that's the functional requirement. Functional okay. Okay, let me show my screen first. Okay, so as you can see here on the week one, actually you guys, okay, we take Noel's group for example here. Okay, the first one they already identified the problem. So the current problem faced by the shop is they don't have online system. That's mean the problem, the system or the shop need the user to be physically there. So that's the problems. It's okay if you only have one problem, should be okay with that. So that's 1A. For 1B, prepare functional requirement list of the new system based on the module. So as shot by Noel just now, they have 5 modules. So they will assign one module to one student, to one member. And then under, if you notice his document just now, for each module, they already prepare the functional requirement, or just now he already prepared the functional requirement list. Okay, so what is functional requirement? Functional requirement is what they want the system or the module to perform. For example, the no, I'm sorry, can you share back your screen?
No, hold on. Which
Okay,
one?
as you can see, yeah, here is okay already. So as you can see here, let's take 3.3 administrator module, for example. So this is a module. The module is known as administrator module. So functional requirement is what they expect the module to do. For example, this module should allow the okay, this module should allow the user to add new system administrator, and they should allow the delete function for the admin. And then another function for this module is for them to update the administrator details. So basically that's the functional requirement. Functional requirement is anything that you want or you expect the system or the module to do. So functional requirement list should be something like this, the one that he showed in his screen now. So do you guys understand with functional requirement list? So this one, okay. And then for the second overview use case diagram. So far, Noel, do you have any use case diagram that you want to show? Okay. Actually, I
Yeah.
haven't covered this in our lecture because it should be in our next lecture. So this is use case diagram. As you can see here, yeah, as you can see here, there are two actor. Actor is whoever involved with your system. Yeah, whoever involved with your system. So here they have two actor, which is the admin and the customer. Hmm. Noel, I want to ask, do you try to combine
Actually,
your
it's not
system?
me.
Oh, I'm the one that did
Oh,
the this one overview. Yeah.
Wow. So you did the whole diagram?
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure correct or not. Maybe need more. Maybe need a system actor also. Maybe
Yeah. Well, actually, this is a yes. This is the correct diagram, use case diagram, which you can include the admin and the customer. But what I suggest you guys is for each of the module, you separate your use case diagram. So that means each of your members should, can you scroll up a bit to your requirement list just now?
this one just overview. There's another one for the
Oh, sorry. Okay, can scroll down.
scroll
Sorry,
down.
sorry.
Scroll down. There's one for the admin like this can like this.
Yeah, can. Oh yeah, I thought just now you mix. So just now is the overview of your system. That one is correct because it's just an overview, like overall function between your system and your actor. So for each of your this one, who drew this one? Is it one member drew
This
all the
one,
module?
yeah, this one I do my own part.
You do your own part.
Yeah,
So for other module, or do you have this one module only you've
yeah.
done
So
so far?
far, just admin only.
Ah, okay. So this is what I want to suggest to you guys. So this is the correct use case diagram for one module. So for each of module, I suggest you guys to draw separate use case diagram. So for example, here for this group, if you have 5 module, so you should come out with 5 use case diagram. So later you need to do one, mm, you need to write or you need to draw each use case diagram for each module. So this is correct, but you need to complete for other module too. Okay,
okay.
what is, yeah, use case diagram by week 2, week 3. Okay, so by week 2 and week 3, you guys should be able to come out with your use case diagram already. So for this group, I think you did a good job. It's just you need to complete your use case diagram. That's all for this group. So I think you guys are good to go
Or in
for
the
your
overview,
group.
miss in the overview, can one module have two actor?
Can,
Because sometimes
can.
customer can change their own detail also. Can
You mean intercept the function?
yeah, like the
Can.
yeah yeah okay can.
Sure, can, yeah. Can. No problem with that. One actor can have 2 module.
No. I
So
mean,
can.
if one module can have two actor,
2 actor, 1 module.
yeah, can be.
2 actor, 1 module. So separate actor will perform the same function. Can. Actually, for use case diagram, it doesn't matter if you only have how many actor to one, how many module. I mean, like you can have one to many or many to one. Doesn't it's not a problem. As
Okay.
long as whatever you write your use case here is the use case is something that mm, mm, okay, for example, here you have 5 module, right? So use case is this module. So in this diagram you have 5 use case. So the first use case is administrator management, second is product management, and the last one is the shopping cart shopping cart. So use case is whatever inside your diagram here. So you can have 2 actor to 1 use case or 2 use case to 1 actor. No problem. Am I answering your question, Kelvin?
Okay.
Okay. Then another group. Who else? Uh, Another group because I think you have 2 group, right? Guys, who else? Another group. Pero Vincent, where's your group? Is it the same group with Chuck just now? Let's see. Rachel. Farah Vincent, your group. Rachel, Alvin, Ivan, Celine, Farah, Chuck, Con, Ken. You guys can hear me, right? Where's the other group? Yeah, there are 6 of you. Yes. Never mind. I think what if you don't, if you still, I mean, like if you're not completed, just share with us what do you have in mind, or yeah, just share with us, Rachel. Just share with us, or share with us what do you have. So maybe I can guide you guys, because if you don't present anything, I'm afraid this is week 3, right? I'm afraid by next week, or you will so far function. You want to turn on your mic? It's okay. And full speed. Ah, never mind. Pharaoh Vincent, turn on your mic. Explain your group.
Hello, hello.
Hmm. So yeah, Alvin said that still identify what function and module you can have. So what system actually do you have in mind, or what actually you want to do? If you share with us, it will be easier so I can guide you.
Wait, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hmm. Oh, while waiting for Vincent, for Noel group, I want to ask how you do your, because okay, wait, how you do your compilation of your project? Is it you compile like, no, my concern is I suggest you guys to, because we have weekly progress, right? So I suggest to all of you to directly compile your work. So you don't have to do, I mean, like, how do I say this now? You
We use
directly
Google.
compile your work.
We use Google Form.
Huh?
We use Google Form to do.
Ah, Google Form. So then one will compile,
No,
or you direct.
we share
No,
the
no,
Google
no.
Form. We share the Google Form.
You share the form.
Yeah.
So is it? Yeah. Okay, I understand. But yeah, if that's the method, should be okay, because my concern is if no, it's okay like if you do Google Form. So later you just need to submit that output to me. So you don't have to waste your time to compile again later. Okay, so that's cool. For other group, Shark Concans, the forwarding management system. Forwarding management system. Is it the one last week that want to design a system for the user? Right. Wait, let me check. Forwarding. Where's this? Huh? So who is this? The one with phone number 9578 at the back. Let's see, what's her name? Oh, Rachel. Yeah, Rachel. So you want to explain, or whoever in your group want to explain, your assignment will contribute 50. How many marks? For assignment. Assignment is 50%. So yeah, it's half of your mark. Exam 50. So the other group, what's your progress or what you want to say? Share. For now, I'm saying I should do breakout room. What do you mean you want to do breakout room, Noel? Application, Google Meet. Oh, oh. You want to split into smaller group. But what's your concern of doing so? I mean, like, why do? Because, yeah, I don't see why we should split. Is it because you want to? Why? I mean, why you want to split your? Um, to avoid plagiarism. Ah, okay. To avoid plagiarism. Ah, okay. Maybe we should do. But for this week, okay, I understood your concern, Noel. Thank you. So for this week, Alvin, no, it's not Alvin. Rachel, Vincent, do you want to proceed with your progress or your presentation? If not, I will proceed with our lecture 3 because we still have half an hour. You want me to proceed with lecture or you want to present? So nice move, Rachel. So we proceed with lecture 3. Okay. So we proceed with lecture 3. If you have any problem with your group, who's this? Rachel, if you have any problem, Farah, Vincent, if you have any problem with your group or with your assignment, or you still do not know what to do, you can PM me. Same goes to group Noel and Calvin Shark. So you can PM me. So let's proceed to lecture 3. Okay, guys? I proceed. Okay. Yeah, chapter 3. So chapter 3 is requirement capture. Yeah. So chapter 3 is requirement capture. What is requirement capture? So requirement capture is usually in early phase of our designing or developing process. So requirement capture or requirement gathering. So in this lecture, you will learn about the distinction between the current and the required system, the purpose of use case diagram, notation of use case diagram. Notation is the symbol or what the symbol mean in your diagram, case diagram, and then how to draw your use case diagram, how to write use case specification, and how to do the prototyping. So we will cover all this in our chapter 3. Okay, so what is requirement? As you read here, requirement is a condition or capability that must be met or possessed by a system or system component. So basically, requirement is the request or the condition that you need to meet that proposed by the client or our user. So requirement is the function that needed to be have that your system need to have in your system. And then we need the requirement to satisfy a contract standard specification or other formally imposed document. So basically, like I said, requirement is anything that the user or the client requests to have in their requested system. So that's the meaning of requirement. And then, mm, 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 mm. Here is the current system versus required system. Current system of the what we have existing system. Required system is the new or proposed system. So current system gathered information using the fact finding technique or okay, current system gather information using the fact finding technique such as observation, JAD and document analysis. JAD actually is a joint application development. So joint application development is a process to collect business requirement while developing a new system. So this is a technique that we use in business requirement gathering. So we need to collect the data in our current system by few methods such as observation. We can observe our current system. For instance, if you notice that mm, this one system have a problem, so you can observe. You can get the data through observation. And jadi or document analysis. Document analysis is what they already have or any document that they already have for their current system. So you need to do the analysis based on the document. And then important why we need to understand the current system. So before we design any system, if we need to understand the current system, or if they have any latest system, we need to understand the current system. So why we need to understand the current system? First is because okay. First is because to understand the existing system work, we need to know what is the workflow of our current system or what is the process to achieve anything in our system. So we need to understand existing system work. It's more to workflow or the logic of your system. So before we develop or design, we need to understand our current system. And then second, to make sure that shortcomings and defects are not carried into a new system. So we need to understand what is the problem or what is the issue with our shortcoming here in this context can be any issue or any problem with our current system. And defect is can be any bug or anything that affect the process or the system, so that we can identify all of this so that we won't carry it out or we won't develop or design a new system that have the same issue with your current system. And then the third one is to identify new system functional and non-functional requirement. So we need, um, I think we will go through this later. What is the system functional and non-functional requirement? Yeah, we will go through this later. So it is important for us to understand the current system so that we can get or we can identify what is the functional and non-functional requirements. Okay, so requirement can be classified into three. The most common, I think that you will hear a lot, is functional and non-functional requirement. This usability is the requirement, but people don't use this a lot during the business or requirement gathering. What they will focus on usually on this functional requirement. Okay, so there are three types of requirement: functional, non-functional, and usability. So what is functional requirement? So functional requirement describe what a system expected to do and what activities the system should carry out. So basically, functional requirements is something that the functional requirement is something that what is something that the system should do, or what is the expected, or what is the expected function that system should perform. For example, the functional requirement is for a banking system. One of the functional requirement that I can think of now is for one user, the banker, yeah, the banker. What do we call them? The bank at the banker is it? Banker is it?
Bank teller.
Yeah, bank teller. Sorry. So the teller, bank teller, for example, they can in a system they can add a new account holder. So that's the function example of functional requirement. That means the functional requirement is for the bank teller is to add the user. That's the simple explanation on functional requirement. So functional requirement is anything that the system is expected to do. Usually on business requirement or business gathering, they will focus on functional requirement because the whole system will be focusing on the functional requirements. And then second point here specifies a system function include processing, interface, I/O, reports, and data stored. So they will focus on how the system or what the system should do, including the function such as processing, interface, I/O, report, and data stored. So basically, that's the functional requirement. You need to remember the functional requirement is what the system should do, or yeah, what the system should perform. So that's the functional requirement. So, oh yeah, we have a example here. Example for functional requirement. We have two example here. Okay, we have two example here. So the first functional requirement is add contact detail for each client. So this is one simple functional requirement. So the use case in your use case diagram should be add a new client. Later we will learn how to draw the use case diagram. And then the second example here is the second requirement, or what the system should do is record which staff are assigned as staff contact to client. So this is another functional requirement. So the use case should assign a staff contact. Yeah, use case. So actually for use case, they don't have specific way or specific method or specific format for you to write the use case. But for the use case, usually people will add something that easily understood by the requirement. For example, here the requirement is add contact detail. So the use case, you should name it as add a new client. Yeah, that's how you usually, or how we usually write our use case based on our requirement. Okay, so that's functional requirement. What the system should do or what the actor should do. That's one. So what documents are usually involved in functional requirement? So we have use case diagram, the class diagram, interaction diagram, and state chart diagram. I think we will go through this through these documents in the lecture. So this is document that needed for or usually used for functional requirement. And then we move to the non-functional requirement. Okay, non-functional requirement describe the characteristic of the system to be achieved that are not related to its functionality. So, non-functional requirement actually is how the system or how the system. Non-functional requirement is actually like how the system should perform. But non-functional is not related to the functional requirement. That means the non-functional requirement doesn't intercept at all with the list in the functional requirement. So for example here, no, another point here, how well it provides the functional requirements. For example of non-functional requirement is the performance of your system, or how fast your system should react when the user, for example, try to load a data. So that's the non-functional requirement, because sometimes, like I said just now, usually in the business or yeah, in our client, usually they will focus on functional requirement, because functional requirement is what the system should do or what it is expected to do. But for non-functional requirement, sometimes the client or the user will come with the list for non-functional. For example, they want to specify the time taken to load the data if the user performs something. So that can be considered as non-functional requirement. Usually for bank, they have this requirement because if they want process large size of data, they will specify that they don't want to take too long to process the data. So the non-functional requirements, for example, here can be performance, the availability, or the maintainability of the system. So that's non-functional requirement. And then, oh, we have example here. Non-functional requirement, documents, requirement list, or use case. Same with the functional requirement. So the non-functional requirement example here is the operational issue, or anything that affect the operation of your system. It can be anything: operational issue, your performance, how well or how fast your system should work, security, and cultural and political issue. So basically that's non-functional requirement. Yeah, non-functional requirement. Is it in yours? I think they will only ask for functional requirement. They have it. Don't think they ask for non-functional requirement here for your assignment, because I won't say rare, but usually people will just ask the functional requirement. So that's the example of non-functional requirement. And then the last one is the usability requirement. So usability requirement is matching the system to the way people work, include characteristic of users, tasks of users, situational factors, and acceptance criteria. This is more to HCI, or human computer interaction. So usability requirement is actually how well or how easy the system use, or how well the system can be used, or how easy the system can be used. It's more to like user experience. Yeah, how easy the system can be used. For this one, the requirement for this type of requirement, I don't think there's much to explain, because for non-functional requirement, I never really see this kind of requirement during any requirement gathering. But you just need to know there is this kind of requirement. It's more to HCI, the user experience, how easy your system can be used. So that's the usability requirement. So we have a non-functional requirement example here. So like I said, non-functional requirement can be operational, performance, security, or cultural and politics. It is does not limited to this requirement, but this is just an example for you to understand what is non-functional requirement. So operational, the physical and technical environment in the which of the system will operate. So the operational is how or where you will, or what is the environment of your system. It can be in physical or it can be in, what do we say, if no, the environment, just take it as environment of your system. So example here, the system should be a pocket of us. For non-functional requirements, if the user have any non-functional requirement, they will specify the requirement by, they will request to us if they want something like, for this system I want it to be, this system should be able to fit in a pocket of us. No, I think I'll take second functional requirements for example, because I think it's easy to understand. So here we have performance. So performance can be the speed, the capacity, or reliability of the system. So usually the user will tell us that, like I said, the explanation just now, the user, yeah, we have example here. So any interaction between the user and the system should not exceed 2 seconds. So they should design or they should develop a system that, or a module or even or a patch that won't load more than 2 seconds. Another example is, like I said, if they want to load data, they will specify how long the data. For example, if you have for 1 day in a bank, usually they have how many gig of data, and then they will specify for, let's say we have 7 gig of data, 7 GB of data in a day for a bank, let's say. Then they request for us to process the data not more than 2 hours. That is the example of performance, the speed of your process. So I think for this part, the operational performance security cultural, the requirement description and example, you can read later, but what's important for you to understand what is non-functional requirement. I think for this part, you can read later. So, but if you have any question regarding this example or description or explanation here, you can ask me, because I think this is for you to read. Yeah, this is for you to read. Okay. So we move to the example of non-functional requirement and functional requirement. So for example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 non-functional requirement. Usually in a requirement, they will put the functional requirement first before the non-functional requirement, because functional requirement is what they want the system to do. So here they have only 2 functional requirement, which is printing and spell checking. So your system, so the use case is the user can print. So as you can see here, this is the functional requirement. That means they need to, or the system should allow the printing printing function. Yeah, they should allow the printing function in their system. And then they should do spell checking in their system. So as you can see here, or as you can read here, the user can check spelling mistake, but the system can operate in 1 in 2 mode as selected by the user. So in their system, they expect to have the spell checking function. That means the user will select maybe one page or one paragraph for the system to do the spell checking based on the language selected. So that is functional requirement. Another example I can see here, I can give here for functional requirement, printing, spell checking. Uh, what is the possible system for this? Spell checking. Spell checking. I think this possible system that use this function should be for staff, lecturer, or teacher. So another function or another functional requirement that they may add here is mm, 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 view or no, post the student mark. So another functional requirement I can think one for now is uh, post the student mark. So the lecturer will the system should allow the lecturer to pause the student mark, and then the student will be able to view the mark. So this is functional requirement, and this is the non-functional requirement list. As you see here, there are three: operational, performance, security, and cultural. So operational requirements. So they will state if your system use which OS or which environment, and then the system will be able to read and write document RTF, HTML, system. Or operational requirement is how the environment of your system. Sometimes again for bank they will specify the database or the server that they will deploy the system. So that's operational requirement. So you need to know the keyword for operational requirement is the environment of your system. Environment is not the no, it's okay. So the second one is the performance requirements. Performance requirements, no special performance requirement are anticipated. So for this list, there doesn't request anything, or there doesn't request any performance requirements. So good to go, or no issue with this one. And then security requirement, no specific security requirement. And then cultural and political requirements, no specific requirements. So basically, this is the example of non-functional and functional requirement. But again, you should focus on your functional requirement. And then only you go to non-functional requirement. And then the last one is the usability requirement. So before we move on from the requirement class, do you have anything you want to ask before you move to use case diagram?
No. Oh yeah, so for our assignment, we should put the
Mm-hmm.
word the user for functional requirement.
Pardon? You mean the word user?
Yeah, for the functional requirement,
You mean
should
the
put the
case word?
yeah, like the user should do this, the user do that.
I think you mean here in your use case diagram.
No, no,
Wait,
the functional requirement. This one.
Hmm, functional requirement. This one, is it?
Yeah,
You mean to add the word user? What do you mean?
yeah. In front, like the user should do this, the user should do that, like that.
Requirement, add contact details and stuff. Actually, again, no specific way for you to write your requirement, but you can use the word the user. For example, here, the user can add contact details for each client, or you just write here the add contact detail for each client. Should be okay. But if you use the term to the user should be able to add, or the user should be able to delete, or the user should be able to delete, edit, should be okay if you use the word or the term for your requirement. There's no
Okay.
specific way for you to write requirement and you use case. Okay.
The description, do we need that to do it next week?
The, des-
Or
the
the
description of your
use diagram? We haven't learned, right?
use case. Belum, haven't.
Yeah.
Haven't, yeah. But yeah, you haven't learned. So we will move to use case diagram. Anything else question? No.
I don't know.
So
No.
we will move to use case diagram. So the use case diagram, I think you already saw it, and I think I already give example last week on the overall view of use case diagram. So first, requirement capture. Before we come out with our use case diagram, we need to do the requirement capture, or what we call as requirement gathering. So why we need to do the requirement gathering is to obtain a complete or consistent and unambiguous specification of requirements shared by different stakeholder group. So why we need the requirement gathering is for us to understand completely what they want or what the user expect from their system. And usually in user requirement capture, they will involve the stakeholder. Stakeholder is the people that involved in the whole project, including the user. For example, for big project, they will have many manager and then the management team or maybe financial team. But usually they will only let the representative from each of the group. For example, from the user, they will send one representative from user, and then for financial, they will usually send the manager. For the developer, you will usually send the lead of the developer. So that's the meaning of stakeholder. And then to collect, formalize, analyze, and validate customer requirements. So this is, like I said just now, they want to get a clear, or they want to get a clear, and they want to understand the exact requirement by the user. So that's the purpose of requirement gathering or requirement capture. And then requirement specification. So requirement specification is the basic for the subsequent software design and provides a reference point for any future validation of the software. So requirement specification actually is a collection of all the set for your requirement. For example, if you have many documents, requirement specification is a collection of them. So it can be used for any validation. It basis of the design provide preference points. Yeah, so it's basically is a collection of the set of all of your requirement. So that's the specification requirement. Provide reference and provides a reference point of any future validation of the software. So yeah, this is important because in for future or maybe in the middle of your project or designing, you need to refer back to any of your documentation. So requirement specification is important to gather all the requirement, to gather all your requirement. It's like a set or a collection of your requirement. And then we move on to the who will involve during the requirement capture. So the user that usually involved for the first, I won't say first, but usually the first meeting or first requirement gathering, the stakeholder. Stakeholder, like I said, stakeholder is everyone that involved in your project or in your in your project. So usually they will just send one representative for each of the team. So here is senior management. Senior management usually those who are involved with the company for like senior people in your company, and then manager for financial department manager, user representative. So stakeholder is basically everyone that involved in your project, but it's usually they will send the manager or the representative. So the roles in the user involvement is usually they will hold their own roles. So that means they will play their own roles and subject. So the I mean like how to explain this one. Subject of interview, project committee, evaluator of prototype, tester, cost training, and end user. That's mean from the stakeholder here, you can understand or you can see who will involve. Roles is more to like the role. For example, in developing team, right? You have a programmer, you have a tester, you have a support team. So each of these roles need to send a representative. For example, tester, you need to send for testing purpose, you need to send a representative for your team, for tester team. Same goes to programmer. If it's not if, you will send a representative for programmer from your programming team for each of the roles. I think this is quite easy. And then, so we move to use case diagram. So what is use case diagram? So this is the use case diagram is a view of the use case model in the requirement model. So use case diagram, as you can see here, this is the use case diagram. Use case diagram is a view of the use case model. So use case diagram is the representative of use case model in the requirement model. So this is your requirement model. So it's like in your requirement model, you have use case model, and then use case model you can representative, but you can represent your use case by use case diagram. So the purpose of use case diagram. So what's the purpose? First, to document the functionality of the system from the user perspective. This is important because sometimes what the user explain is not what we receive. It's not what now I mean what we understand actually is not what the user want us to do, or it's different from what user expect. Our understanding is different. So the document is important. This document is important to show, even though sometimes in the meeting this can be look funny, but actually this is the best way for the client, or for the client to deliver, or for us to understand what the user want. So it's important for us to understand the functionality from the user perspective. User perspective is very different. It's very important because sometimes the user and the development team has different or have different perspective. So that is very important. Document the scope of the system. Document the scope of the system. That means document is part of the system. Documentation is the part of your system. So that's the meaning, the scope of the system. Why documentation is part of the system? Because later, if you're in, let's say in your maintaining phase, you have problem, you need to go back to your document part. You need to go back to see, for example, is this diagram. You need to like find the root, or you need to, there's one term, root cause. You need to find the root cause of your issue. So it's part of the system. Document is part of the system. Supported by use case description. Supported by use case description, behavior documentation. Yeah, this is also important to show the interaction between the user and the system. So use case diagram show the interaction between the user, the actor, and the system. So we move to here, development of use case model. Even for your use case model, they can have iteration. Iteration, that means iteration occur when there's a request or additional requirement that sent by the user or the client. For example, here, during our first meeting, we will bring this use case, the overview of our use case, and then the simple use case description. We will show to the client the overall or like simple use case and simple use case description. And then they will send us feedback. They said for this function, you need to have this, this, and this. So there are additional requirements there. So we will go for the second iteration. So maybe for the second and the third iteration, your system will develop your system will develop, but there are no like, it's not necessary you have iteration, but usually there will be iteration because from one time requirement gathering is not enough. So there will be many round of requirement gathering, but no limited number. It's up to the progress of your requirement gathering process. Then they will come out with the prototype. So based on your requirement gathering, maybe the first round, then for the second requirement gathering, you will bring the prototype. You will show to the client if this is almost similar to what they expected, or is this what the sample of the what they expected. And then for your next iteration, or for your coming iteration, for your requirement gathering, you should show the progress of your prototype or anything. Uh, oh no, no wonder got stickman. Stickman. Stickman is the actor. Stickman is the actor on your use case diagram. Stickman can be the user. Yeah, stickman can be the user of your system. You also need 3 iteration. This one, for example here, there's no limitation to number of iteration, and it is not necessary we have iteration. But usually there will be iteration because one time requirement gathering is not enough. So it's not like you need to exactly have 3 times of iteration. If you only need 2 times, if that's enough for you to gather or to capture the requirement, should be enough. Or it's not, how to say, the number of the, or assignment 1 is okay. 1 is okay, iteration. Because for your assignment, right, mm, should be okay for your assignment. That's why I told you last week you need to know exactly, or you need to understand exactly what your system should do, because you are the only people who are involved with your system. The iteration is needed in the, for example here, the iteration is needed because it involves people from two sides. That means the user and the client. But in your assignment, you only involve with the people in your team. So should be okay if you no iteration, or yeah, no iteration, or one no iteration at all, or one iteration should be okay. So am I answering your question, Shak? Yeah. Okay, cool. The iteration is needed to clear the misunderstanding between the client and the user. That's why the iteration is needed. But if for your assignment, since you guys are the only one involved, so shouldn't be a problem if you don't have any iteration. I think our class should be until 2, right? Or am I wrong? 2, right?
Two.
Because, yeah. So I think we stop until this part first. Hmm, we stop until this part. So do you have any question before we dismiss? So for the other group, the one just now, I think, yeah, next week you should present something, because if not, I cannot help you because it's 50% of your mark. So I cannot help you if you don't have anything to present. So yeah, for that group, and then what else, guys? Anything else you want to ask before we dismiss? No, right? So
No.
we can dismiss now. Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.